And there you go. Hey, everyone, I'm the Dr. Bob Lee from 107.5 WBLS. You're watching Open. Welcome to Open BXRX. Coming up on today's show, we'll revisit a conversation with a pediatric medicine specialist who shares some important information on how COVID may be impacting the future of our community. Then we'll highlight the work of a mother who has found a way to positively create or contribute to her community after suffering a tragic loss. Plus, we'll look back at an organization that is having a global impact on our young women of color. After that, Bobby C., he steps into the room, the most important moments in the world of sports. And then finally, we'll go back to a conversation we had with an award-winning and world-renowned musician who has decades of experience in the entertainment industry. So stay tuned. All of this and more, all headed your way. Everyone, I'm your host, Dr. Bob Lee, and you're watching Open. It's that live, interactive program that brings the Bronx and New York City straight to your TV set. You stay connected to us through social media at BronxNet TV. Leading things off, we'll take a moment to revisit conversations with a pediatric medicine specialist and chief medical officer at the Children's Village. She joins us to speak about the state of COVID and how it is impacting our youth. Let's take a look.
Please tell us about your experience working during the, during the heart of the pandemic, and it's been rough for a lot of people.
Yeah, so when the pandemic first started, as most of you know, there wasn't a lot of information on what to do, right? Especially in child welfare settings. So we really had to figure out how to keep children who lived on our residential campus and the staff safe. Children's Village has 1,500 employees. So we have children not only on our residential campus, but we have children in foster families. And we wanted to make sure everyone was safe. So one of the things that we ultimately did was create a policy around, which we called family clusters. And we made sure that all of the cottages, it's sort of set up in cottages, that the cottages became family clusters, just like everyone else did at home. And to mitigate any spread of the disease. And we were pretty successful with that. And I ultimately shared that with other child welfare communities throughout the nation and various other states.
So what should parents know about the impact of the latest COVID variants on their children?
I think there's a lot of information out there. And I think sometimes it can be confusing because it's in media snippets. Right. So I think it can be tricky. And I think the first thing is to understand that a variant is just the virus's ability to mutate into something a little bit different than its original form. Yeah. And so I think, Omicron, the newest variant, the first one was Alpha, Beta, they're all in the Greek alphabet. Omicron appeared to be a little bit milder to folks, but a lot more contagious, which is why even those who were vaccinated still got were still able to contract it, although they still did not, most of them did not, if not all of them, did not end up in hospitalizations or in ICUs or death. So from that perspective, the vaccine was still, was very effective. But I think that people are, they're unsure about where we go from here with other variants. And I think the virus is the one who gets to control that.
Yeah. What causes the different variants? People who are unvaccinated, or it just developing in people over and over again? Because some people had it 3 and 4 times already.
Yeah. So great question. Yeah. So you're absolutely right. So it is primarily in unvaccinated, because vaccinated folks have antibodies, and then some who might have some antibodies because they've had it recently, right? Yeah. And so The vaccinated person, the moment you get exposed to a variant, your antibodies kick in about the second or third day. So it doesn't allow the virus to replicate into another variant.
Oh, they're calling. They want to talk to you now.
Okay. Right? But the
Go ahead.
unvaccinated, no problem. But the unvaccinated, they may not have antibodies, right? So what happens is that the virus is allowed to go through its full replication cycle, right? Because theirs doesn't kick in, their body doesn't rev up and kick in antibodies until it makes them, which is 10 to 14 days later. So the unvaccinated end up being the primary source for variants.
Yeah, and but you guys still have about 2,000 people a day dying in the country.
That's right. You're absolutely right. And my colleagues that are in pediatric ICUs, my colleagues that are in adult ICUs, they tell me that the people that they have in their intensive care units are unvaccinated folks. And I personally know someone who was unvaccinated and who recently passed away, and they ended up in ICU.
What do you tell people who are unvaccinated and just don't want to trust it? I don't want to put that in my body. I don't know what it is.
You know what? The first thing I do is tell them to talk to somebody they trust, right? And I mean that someone a medical professional, and specifically someone that they know sort of has a handle on it. And I always make myself available to, because there are people out there who want you to understand why it's important to get a vaccine, but you have to meet people where they are, and everybody has a different reason for why they don't want to take the vaccine. So I find that when I meet people where they are, I can get a better understanding of why they're saying no. Yeah.
What advice would you have for school officials, teachers, parents regarding health and safety for their children?
I think right now, and I think there's a lot of controversy about this because of what states coming out with saying that they're going to remove the mask mandates. And I think people need to understand, and again, this is part of like not being fully, I don't want to say transparent, but giving people the full scope of your thinking, right? So the reason why they're pulling back on the mask mandate is because they're saying, we don't think that the government needs to control this anymore, right? We don't need the government's hand on it, but that we feel that we've been in this for 2 years and people can govern themselves accordingly, and they understand that masks work. So the government doesn't have to mandate it. However, that doesn't mean that in places where you have people in close contact, that they still can get COVID, and we're still in the midst of this, even though right now we're in a lull. So I think people should still, when they're going to school or in close spaces, they should still wear masks, social distance when possible, and hand wash, of course.
Yeah, because Delta's still out there also.
Yes, Delta's still out there.
Exactly. About Delta.
Right. Yeah, Delta's still out there. Right? We forget, right? Like Delta didn't decide to move away while Omicron was coming, right? That's not what happened. Like Delta's still here, Omicron is still here, and then there's a sub-variant of Omicron as well that is currently out there. It didn't fully change into something different, so we're still Omicron, but it's a little like it's a sub variant of Omicron, and so yeah, they're all still out there, and we are not going to fully get to where we need to be unless
this may be a situation where it's endemic instead of a pandemic. It's going to be with us for a while, right?
Yeah. I don't think I think my feeling is that it may not ever like fully go away. I think there was a window where in the beginning, here, let me say this. The window was when we first heard about this, right? In December of 2019, January, and what have you, and to activate the Defense Production Act, where we would have done what we needed to do so that it never got here in the first place, like Ebola, and SARS and MERS and all those other coronaviruses. That didn't happen. Then we needed, once we had the vaccine, we needed large numbers of people to take it. And I think because of some of the polarization around it and some of the misinformation, that didn't happen. And so the virus will have to mutate into something that is so weak that it becomes that people aren't dying from
Like
it at the rate that
cold.
they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a cold, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll have to happen.
So you work at this wonderful location. I know a lot about it. I have some experience with it. Tell us about the wonderful work that you're doing at Children's Village.
Yeah, so I became the medical director and chief medical officer of Children's Village in 2019. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. And part of that work, well, representation matters. So I'm grateful to be able to be the first woman and the first person of color to hold this role. And as you know, most of the children who are in foster care are children who are children of color, brown and black children. And so I think one of the things that we wanted to do is to make sure that they get the medical care that everyone else gets. I owned a practice for 15 years, and my practice is in Westchester County. Our children deserve the same kind of care that I was giving people who were in Chappaqua and Thornwood and all these other places, as they should get the same care that I was giving them. So I think that is the mission, that's the culture that we should, because they're more vulnerable, right? And so because they're more vulnerable, they need special care, and we also need to really focus on the trauma of being away from your family. And so, there's nothing normal about being in child welfare, but children are just, they're amazingly resilient. But we do have to build the structures around them. And I think we really work hard. We have a great group and a great mission, and we work really hard to do that.
Thank you so much, Dr. Traci Gardner. Thank you for all the work that you're doing at Children's Village and in our community. We love you. We appreciate you, and you're always welcome back.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
And we want to thank Dr. Traci Gardner for joining us, and we appreciate all the work that she's doing in our wonderful community. We'd also like to congratulate her for being named as one of our fantastic special honorees for the recent Make the Grade Awards. We'll take a quick break right here, and stay tuned. We'll be back with a whole lot more next on Open. And welcome back. This year, we had the utmost pleasure of speaking to so many wonderful people making an impact in our community, some making life-saving impact changes. So we took the opportunity to sit down with another mother who has channeled her pain into a powerful resource for others to learn from through the founding of her Dominic A. Murray 21 Memorial Foundation, also known as Dom Heart 21. Let's take a look.
My story began in 2006 when I first lost my husband to a massive heart attack, unexpected. And then 3 years later, our only child, Dominic, collapsed on a basketball court at Farmingdale State College. He was only 17 years old. And when he collapsed, no one knew what to do right away. No one started CPR right away. No one got the AD that was right outside of the gym door to initiate that, immediate shock to restart his heart. And the reason why they didn't do that is because they didn't recognize the signs, and they wouldn't really come to the conclusion that someone as young and vibrant as Dominic would have collapsed that had something dealing with his heart. And that's the tragedy. But when his autopsy was performed, that's when his congenital heart condition was revealed. And it wasn't until after his death, when it was too late, that his underlying condition was revealed. And my son was healthy. He was seemingly healthy.
Well, he went through sports. He passed all the exams that he was supposed to pass, but we didn't know he had an underlying situation. Is that right?
That's right. He was diagnosed healthy at every well child visit, and he passed every pre-participation sports physical.
And he was going for a layup. How did it happen?
He was attempting a routine layup. So, he was like mid making that layup, and his heart suddenly stopped and he collapsed on the court. So he started gasping. exhibiting seizure-like symptoms. And so no one recognized that those are signs of a sudden cardiac arrest. I didn't know that until I learned later on what the signs were.
And now you started an organization, a foundation, Dom Heart 21. Tell us about it.
So Dom Heart 21, of course, is named after Dominic. 21 was his jersey number from the time he played CYO, AAU, varsity, and that was going to be his number at Farmingdale State. So that's the significance of number 21 in Dom Heart 21. And what we do is we provide youth heart screenings. We screen young hearts for children, teens, and young adults, ages 12 to 25. That's the age range that we screen hearts. We provide also CPR AED training in all communities, wherever young people and people of all ages live, learn, and play, no matter where they live, because that's important. And we place life-saving AEDs. Without the AED, there's no way to restart that heart. CPR can go but so far. But
and AED stands for?
AED stands for Automated External Defibrillator. It's a smart machine. You just turn it on and you follow the steps, but it's a life-saving machine.
It's like what's seen on TV when you're trying to save somebody's life. All right, clear.
Well, that's what's seen on Baywatch. Now I've aged myself, but on Baywatch, I mean, I used to watch it too, like, wow, you could do it on water, on a, you know, that little surfboard, but no. So those are the heavy duty machines that are like in the hospital setting. But we can place a life-saving device in common lay people's hands, like you and myself, and it's a sleek, smart device. You turn it on. It's safe to use because it will only shock you if it detects that your heart needs a shock. So anyone can handle an AED.
Yeah. And you give great instructions too. I mean, the young lady that you had, the doctor that you had there from St. Francis Hospital, you did, your whole team really put it together. I was in one of the classes, ladies and gentlemen.
And you did amazing. You were amazing. Quick learner, and it's, as you can attest, it's easy to learn how to save a life. Anyone can learn how to save a life.
Yes. So, and you have legislation passed. How did that take place?
Well, it took over a decade, but the Dominic Murray Sudden Cardiac Arrest Prevention Act, also known as Dominic's Law, was finally signed into law on October 25th, 2021, during the anniversary month of Dominic's passing, 13 years after he passed away, 13 years legislating, advocating to make sure that children are safe in schools, finally passed. And it impacts, it's a game changer that impacts all New York State schools, public and non-public. And it's going to save lives, thousands of lives.
Yeah. So when you say call 911 in an emergency and you have somebody go get the AED, that school or that place should have it.
Yes, all New York State schools are required to have AEDs. The significance of this legislation is that now, and never before had this happened, now in New York State, as part of every pre-participation sports physical, every permission slip to participate in gym, physical education, all parents will receive information, a package with information on sudden cardiac arrest, its signs, symptoms, risk, and prevention. They'll sign off on that, saying that they understand that, knowing their child's family history and knowing what SCA is. SCA is an acronym for sudden cardiac arrest. They now have become aware. Coaches and teaching staff will be trained on how to recognize the signs of sudden cardiac arrest and know the risk and the prevention. And they're also mandating that a plan be put in place to react to these occurrences, excuse me.
Yeah.
And if a child exhibits these signs while in play, they are removed from participation until they are seen by a cardiologist and cleared. Never before has that happened in New York State. In other states, they're starting to get it and they're starting to implement such measures. But this took over a decade and there's no additional cost that goes into this. It was no funding, that extra funding that was needed.
Yeah.
And it involves the Commissioner of Health, New York State Commissioner of Health, and New York State Commissioner of Education. And we're going to work together to make sure this information is delivered to the parents.
Yeah. And you know what? Your organization has already saved lives. Tell us about it.
Yes. So similar to the CPR training that you went through a few weeks ago, 4 lives have been saved from people who were trained by us. We've trained over 21,000 so far, and 4 lives have been saved, which is really significant. And through our heart screenings, we provide heart screenings for young people twice a year at no cost.
That's excellent. Who's some of the organizations that you work with? I know the Deltas are big.
Well, we work with, the Deltas, and the Deltas are huge. One of our board members, Dr. Sandra Nurse, she is a Delta, as well as our board chair, who resides in North Carolina. She is a Delta. We've worked with Deltas, Elm Corps adult and youth activities here in Queens. My son played basketball over at Elm Corps Gym, and they are huge supporters of our foundation. We partner on many events to bring awareness to the communities. We work with St. Francis Hospital, named the American Heart Association, Parent Heart Watch, which is a national organization that I actually sit on the board of, Queens Chamber of Commerce. There's so many organizations that we are partnering with, so many to name. And we're bringing the Girl Scouts of Greater New York. There's so many, because they help us extend our mission message. We provide services that help expand our reach. And we're also going to be working with, we're bringing our new partners all the time. And
like
I'll let you reveal that one. I was waiting. I was waiting, saving the best for last. But I want you to reveal that one. I didn't want to steal the thunder. That's why I was like, okay.
No, it's a wonderful thing when you get a group of organizations and people working together.
Yes.
Always moving together in the same direction for a common cause to help others get what they need out of life. I think it's wonderful. Where can we go? You have a website that we can gather more information on you?
Yes. Please visit domheart21.org. We're also on social media. Follow us on Twitter. It's easy to follow at domheart21, DOMHEART21. We're doing so much. I'm excited about what we're going to be doing with Make the Great Foundation. We have great things in store, so follow us to hear more about that. It's important that we really go into the Black and Brown communities, because in those communities, the resources and information is not all there yet. And we have that information. We want you to look to us for this information and for these resources and assistance. The majority of student athletes that are afflicted by sudden cardiac arrest are in the Black and Brown communities, not because their hearts are made up of any different, but because of the help and the education in CPR, accessibility to AEDs, and getting provision for youth heart screenings accessible to them. That is what's hurting those communities, and we make it available to them.
Thank you so much, and looking forward to working with you. You do some great things in our community, and that's what we want to partner with. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thing that you're doing.
And congratulations to Melinda Murray-Nyack for being the 2022 Make the Great Awards honoree. We look forward to seeing what all of Dom Heart 21 is going to be doing with the Make the Great Foundation and other organizations. So we're going to help other people save lives. So we'll take a quick break right here. We've got more coming up next right here on Open.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff.
Mama!
Like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
And welcome back. Our next guest is the founder of and CEO of Girls of Color Takeover, LLC. She sat down with us to speak about her recent trip to Central America, monitoring young girls and mentoring them too. And she's going to highlight the work that she has done with her STEM camp and much, much more. Let's take a look. Tell us a little bit about, just give us like a brief thing about the trip that you just went on to Central America.
Actually, that's home. That's my homeland, Belize. And
All right.
it was super important to understand that the girls in Belize, of course, they are important just like everyone else. And
Yes.
they were super excited to have me there to do some mentoring, some coaching. I was able to speak with some amazing young queens. They had a beauty pageant for some young, amazing girls, and I got them all together. We had an amazing time just talking and understanding what was important to them and just looking towards their future.
Yeah.
And so that was the younger group. It was just spectacular.
Yeah. Everybody had a great time, huh?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, in Belize, do they speak more than one language?
Absolutely. It's very diverse. English is the main language, which is amazing. So, I think that's one of the beauty of Belize is that it's diverse. There's so many amazing cultures out there, and it's just beautiful.
They speak Spanish there too, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Do you speak Spanish?
A little bit.
Let me hear you.
¿Cómo estás?
I hear you.
I know a little bit. I know a little bit to get by.
Yeah. 107.5 WBLS. Sofrito. A little bit of sofrito. I just said 107.5 WBLS with some sofrito. And Bronx strong.
Yeah.
So this is fantastic. You've been mentoring for some time now. How did you get into it?
It's just a passion of mine. It came along with just being an entrepreneur and having that entrepreneurial spirit. And in order to, engage and empower and encourage people to get into entrepreneurship, it starts with mentoring, finding a really good mentor. And that's something that I enjoy doing. And I just make sure that it's a big part of my life, a big part of my day-to-day. And it's in my heart. And I enjoy every day, every moment that I get to do that.
What was the highlight of your special trip and the camp experience?
So the highlight was really just meeting these young, amazing girls, just understanding what was important to them and how, and just listening to their experience that they had in their pageant and to understand where their future is heading, what they wanted to be. Some of them had some amazing plans for their future, and they were so young. One wanted to be a dentist. Somebody wanted to start their own hair salon when they got older. Like, it was just amazing to hear what their future entailed and what they're looking to do in the future. And this experience for them was amazing. They were just ecstatic about just meeting me and having those type of conversations. They don't really talk about entrepreneurship in many countries. Like, when you're at school, they don't teach that. So to understand, like, wow, we can actually do this when we get older. We can use our skills and our talents and start our own business when we, grow up. And, to hear that rather than hearing, well, when you graduate, go find a job. So, those were really inspiring to them.
And Teresa, how important is that to take them out of the area where we live and bring them away to camp, away where everything else you left behind and everything is like pure?
It's important to experience different, cultures and to experience different environments. I think, one of the things out here when I did the summer camp with STEM exposure, that was also an amazing experience for the young girls that were here to do that, because, they also understood the importance of entrepreneurship and wanted to start their own business. As a matter of fact, there was such an amazing, huge success from that camp. One girl at the end of the camp she came back the following day with a business plan. So they were able to give her seed money to start her business. which was amazing.
And then you have the beauty of the science STEM. You did the STEM program in the summer camp. Tell us about that also.
Yes, the STEM camp, the Science of Beauty camp. So here in Tampa, there was a summer camp for young girls. 25 were signed up, which was amazing. I was offered the opportunity to come and speak on the business side of beauty. So, you know, each day there were different entrepreneurs that taught them, you know, the importance or understand how to create their own products. So on day one, they learned how to make lip glosses. You know, on day two, there was another company there and another entrepreneur teaching them how to make their body scrubs. And it was just amazing. And then on the final day, I came to pretty much close it all out to show them now that you've made your products, here's how we're going to market it. Let's talk about sales strategies. Yeah, and also teach them how to do a pop-up event so that they can products. So that was wonderful.
I see a TV show in this. Hey.
Yeah.
That's great. So a lot of people come back and they want to contribute to what you're doing now today, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, this camp and the STEM exposure, it's the founders and the organizers of this program. They're amazing. You know, whatever help we can get, that would be perfect, because the Glazer Museum, the Children Glazer Museum here in Tampa, have already invited us back for next year. They were super excited about how the camp went, that they've already said, you guys have to come back and do this next year. So this is something that obviously will eventually go global. And it's just inspiring. It's empowering to these young girls. I mean, because they know now that they can do anything that they put their minds to. And that's what we want. That's ultimately the goal is, you know, encourage these young girls to go for their dreams.
And people know when there's something good, you know, when you get that call to say, hey, we need you to come back again. They know something went on that was good and that was beneficial to a lot of people. So thank you for doing what you do. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're being recognized somewhere?
Oh, yeah. So here in Tampa, there's a Black Excellence event that's coming up in October. And I was just notified.
I heard a little birdie was telling me in my ear that you're being recognized somewhere.
Yes. So it's a Black Excellence event that's coming up next month in October. And I just received information that I was one of the top 10 people in business to know here in Tampa.
Congratulations. Yes.
Yes, thank you. It's an honor. So I'm super excited about that. So I'll be in the likes of I'll be in the room with the mayor and some, you know, heavy hitter, you know, people that are just doing amazing things here in Tampa, top, you know, real estate people that are just, you know, making a mark for themselves in Tampa. And so to be among those people, it's just incredible.
Well, you deserve it. People recognizing the work that you're doing to help others get what they need out of life, that's important. Give us your website. Where we go? Social media, give us the whole 9.
Oh, okay. So on social media, on Instagram, it's girls_of_color_takeover. So Girls of Color Takeover. You'll find me on Instagram. And my email, if you have any inquiries or want to send any emails to me, you can hit me at gocto2020@gmail.com.
There you go. Teresa Hernandez-Howe, founder and CEO, Girls Take Over. Girls of Color Takeover, LLC. Thank you so much. Give me that website one more time. Give me that website.
So my website is girlsofcolortakeover.com. That's where you can find some of our products for self-care as well, because we also talk about entrepreneurship, but you have to take care of yourself. So we have some amazing products that you can shop at our girlsofcolortakeover.com website. And to send any inquiries or emails, you can reach me at gocto2020@gmail.com.
Thank you for all the work that you're doing. Teresa, we love you. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Okay. Yes, girlsofcolortakeover.com. Thank you, Teresa. Teresa, thank you for all that you're doing in our community. With the women globally and right here at home. You know, we can't forget about that. Teresa Hernandez-Howe. And we're going to take a quick break. Bobby C, he has the highlights from the most impactful moments in the world of sports. Check it out.
Feel the beat of nature at a park or forest near you. Find a forest and music inspired by nature at discovertheforest.org.
I've never been one for goodbyes, but as we begin 2023, it's time for us to turn the page on what has been a remarkable run. Not our call, but I'm not here to dwell on it either. Instead, I'm focusing on how we got here and what's ahead. In some shape or form, I have spent over 20 years here at BronxNet. I started as an intern in college making an hourly wage to rising through the ranks. That meant going from an assistant producer to a producer and on-air talent to sports director and your longtime sports anchor and correspondent in the field. I was on the very first episode of Open. Seems like a lifetime ago now. And my first sports segment in that role featured now FS1's Chris Bouchard, then of the New York Times, talking about the New York Knicks. I was pretty nervous for that one, even though Chris was a dear friend of mine and still is to this day. But I made it through, and Bobby C's Sports Roundup was born. We were off and running from there. The segment was a work in progress, as all good things should always be, featuring news, interviews, and commentary, my C-list. It was a labor of love. I've always worn many hats in this business, but this one was and is the one that mattered the most to me. See, I'm from here, born and raised in the Bronx, and mighty proud of it. I still live here to this day. It's been an honor to be the voice of sports locally in my hometown. We were presented an opportunity. That's what life's all about, opportunity. Your voice, your views, your vision. And we ran with it. Oh, did we run with it. With all due respect to places of business, I've always said it doesn't matter where you work. It matters the people that are there, working with you. We succeeded because of the players involved, namely myself and cameramen/editors, Jorge Gomez and Chris Pusateri. We dubbed ourselves the BronxNet Boys. And that's what we were when we started, boys. We built the sports department here from the ground up, taking our content even further with my own sports show, Sports NYC. You watched us grow. In turn, we told you the stories of sports not only in this city, but around the world. We took that BronxNet mic flag everywhere, near and far, to the point that a colleague in the press box called me Mr. National. A good nickname, but I really like the BronxNet Boys moniker better, because to me it was always about Jay, Chris, and myself. The pandemic was the beginning of new ventures for us, some good, some not so good, and that included Jorge moving on. If you're watching this, Jay, just know that you've been missed, and that Chris and I wish you the best, my friend. As for CP, you are the best friend a guy could ever have. We've rolled with every punch and made the best of every challenge since day one. So many of those challenges lately have come in-house now, unfortunately. I'm not surprised you've grown into an Emmy Award-winning creator at SNY. You had incredible talent since the first day that you arrived, coming to us by way of SUNY Binghamton as an intern, rising through the ranks yourself. It's been a pleasure co-producing these segments with you. And what a lifetime in sports it has been. A kid from the Bronx that covered every fall classic game of a Yankees team that won the World Series in 2009. I always dreamed of donning the pinstripes. I had Alex Rodriguez nearly blast my eye out with a cork in the locker room celebration following Game 6, something my mom witnessed on live TV. That'll be a story that I tell my kids someday. The same with Derek Jeter and his mythic status. Too many unbelievable moments for CP and I, 3,000 with an exclamation point is pretty tough to beat, though. How did Jeets do it time and time again? It seemed like an endless run of champagne celebrations for us, the good old days. We took our lenses to all-star games in the NBA, MLB, and the NFL. Playoff games, championships, finals, Stanley Cups, Winter Classics, Indy 500s, Belmont Stakes, UFC fights, US Open, you name it. You got it. All for you, the viewer. Documenting the Yankees winning that last World Series left us speechless. So did watching the New York Football Giants secure their last Super Bowl win in Indianapolis against New England and the almighty Tom Brady and the Patriots. How is that a decade plus ago? My goodness. We struck Heisman poses and even got to get close to other legends in other parts of the world of entertainment. Legends like Jay-Z and Green Day, the band, all thanks to the world of sports, though. Green Day at MetLife for the Jets and Jay-Z at Radio City as part of a basketball showcase. So cool. Or how about the time that we had actor Will Ferrell on the show? That actually happened. Or when baseball all-star Joey Votto leaned over in the dugout of a midsummer classic and slowly read the station's name to us off the mic flag with a smile. BronxNet. Same with Giants great Justin Tuck, repeatedly calling me out in front of other media members for my lavish suits. My two favorites from him, is that a velvet jacket? Oh boy. And Bob, only real men wear white, making a huge deal of my white blazer. That one really didn't play too well on TV. Nah. Needless to say, we feel like Hall of Famers now that this chapter is coming to a close. It was something else to interview Hall of Fame greats in Cooperstown, Canton, and Springfield, players that we grew up idolizing. The AFC Championship between the Jets and Steelers in Pittsburgh stands out. That was a cold one, as does salsa dancing Victor Cruz on Christmas Eve in a hometown affair. Closer to home, we always had you covered with the latest from the Bronx too. Community stories, Hope Week, charitable events, hosted by the Knicks and many, many others. We also chronicled Bronx stars on the rise, then young fellas like Kimball Walker, who went from hoops in the sun to the NBA. Hits was always a treat too, but it was extra special to see those local hoop stars make it on the national stage. Kimba winning the Big East and the national championship at UConn, to getting drafted by the NBA to becoming an all-star in the league. We covered the Big East, the ACC, the NCAAs, and bowl games like the Pinstripe Bowl. There was the NFL draft, the NBA draft, the MLB draft at Studio 42. Amazing. We told similar stories about Bronx up-and-comers from Dwight Hardy to Saquon Barkley. I lived it up with the holiday specials and my favorite, Halloween shows, from Ricky Bobby to Evel Knievel and everyone in between. We covered the Mets, Yankees, Giants, Jets, Nets, Knicks, and the hockey locals, including the Rangers, the way much larger stations do. The only difference? It was just us, the BronxNet boys. And when the world got turned upside down, we pivoted and welcomed the greatest names in sports to the show. No sports, no problem. Sports Corner interviews it is. Greats like Rod Carew, Mario Andretti, Sir Jackie Stewart, Dave Parker, Tiki Barber, Jeff Pearlman, Buzz Bissinger, and so on, and so on, and so on. You watched me ride in an Indy car with Mario at nearly 200 miles per hour and hang off a Moto America motorcycle at almost the same speed, all in the name of capturing the experience and proving that dreams really do come true, especially if you're willing to work for them and are passionate about your craft. This journey is a success story. I still pinch myself, as does Chris, when we think about being on a float down the Canyon of Heroes in Manhattan with the G-Men, celebrating like we won the Super Bowl. And check this out, Jorge and myself ran the bases with Nick Swisher in the late night hours after the Yankees won the Fall Classic back in 2009. It didn't matter that we worked for this small local TV station. It mattered about the people. Swisher has that same thirst for life as we do. We did things on shoestring budgets or on no budget at all. We drove to Pittsburgh and back in the same day for that AFC Championship game. Facts. Those were common occurrences for us back then. You never saw the effort, you only saw the finished product. We flew back from Miami the next morning after LeBron James won his first NBA title, staying in the press room all night before heading to the airport on no sleep to catch the first flight out to go directly to the studio to go live with what we captured. I wasn't even 100% sure that we would make it in time. Ambitious doesn't even begin to describe it. And these 10 minutes aren't enough to truly showcase all of it. Like life, it came and it went. Memories here in a scrapbook that will surely not be forgotten. Time stops for no one. We grew up before your eyes, boys to men. Made new friends, said goodbye to some. We celebrated, we mourned at times, and we loved every second. You'll have to catch some Mets games to witness the artistry of Chris Fusateri now, making magic behind the scenes as always. As for me, I remain a man on the move. You can catch New York's longest running sports call-in show on WFUV 90.7 FM, one-on-one. I'm the sports director there. I'm also the associate commissioner for the Skyline Conference, the voice of Iona University basketball, and the Formula One correspondent for America Domani. Cheers to a career in the fast lane. I wouldn't have it any other way. And thank you to each and every one of you for being part of our journey and this remarkable ride. For the BronxNet Boys, I'm Bobby C. We'll see you around.
¿Qué color? Perfecto, amigo.
Gracias. Thank you.
What's wrong, amigo?
Donating to a pet's medical care is one of the many ways you can help families in your community. Pets and people belong together. Learn more at petsandpeopletogether.org.
And welcome back. Our final notable guest of the year was a two-time Grammy Award winning, a fantastic artist, and a world-renowned musician who's performed with musical pioneers and is a pioneer in the music industry himself. He sits down with us today to highlight his upcoming projects and much more. Let's take a look. So tell us, they always ask you how you got started in the business and how did it all work out for you and what was the thought behind it? Did you think that you were going to become a drummer or
Never.
a musician?
Never. The Bronx made me a musician.
The Boogie Down BX, all right.
My older brother played drums. A great musician named Steve Jordan, drummer and producer, lived around the corner from me, as did the great Ray Chu.
Oh, yeah.
So we were all in the same neighborhood. Our parents kind of had us all in the same music programs, and that was my example. And I followed. They were all my big brothers, and I followed them, and they made it very possible for me to be where I'm sitting today.
Yeah.
So it just came right from the neighborhood.
Yeah. You know, the more people that I talk to, the more I find out that we have a whole lot in common. You mentioned Ray Chu. I've worked with him at the world famous Apollo Theater.
Okay.
We had something that happened. We brought this, I'm going to do this briefly because I want to talk more about you, but we brought this guy on. He wanted to be like, hidey, 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 ho. He came up and did that. And he got booed off the stage. So he ran up the aisle and came back around the other side and got on stage, and we did like a big, I said, why did you want to do something like that? And come to find out that he was planted there by the Arsenio Hall show. So we wound up being on the Arsenio Hall show and everything. So the Apollo Theater in Harlem Week, they're trying to put something together, the Uptown Chamber, they're trying to put something together and just document all of this history.
Wow, beautiful
But
thing.
so Ray Chu.
His backyard faced my backyard.
Yeah.
My parents are very close, so.
And you always heard him playing.
He was on the set at a very young age. He already had it.
And they always heard you playing too.
Yeah, they heard me playing as well. Exactly. Yes, that's true. So
now, I heard you telling a little story about how you had to tell your neighbors that, hey man, I'm on the drums, so I want to let you know, so you won't call the cops on me.
Yeah, respectfully, let them know, and then moved in. I'm still in the same neighborhood I grew up in, and I went to my neighbors and let them know I'm a drummer. And I don't plan on padding up my place or something. I just figured I'd be honest with them.
Right.
and took a bottle of wine and a business card. It basically said, this is my name. Yeah. This wine is for you. If things get too loud, you hear something you don't like or see something you don't like, call our number. It'll stop in 10 seconds.
Left one thing out. But don't, we
I did.
But you invited them over.
I invited them over.
Hey, man, you come over.
The barbecues, they can come over and eat in the backyard. Whenever my friends came over, it was all love.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
So from there to now, are you touring around? You were in some movies. You were in a number of things.
COVID obviously put a bit of a change on a few things, but Play Drums with Living Color. It's the rock band. Living Color, and we're back kind of on the road, getting started again. My jazz quintet's playing around a bit as well, too. So things are starting to come back into play. We did Rock in Rio. We talked about Brazil earlier. So we played Rock in Rio, which is nice. And we are playing at the end of this month, actually tonight, Halloween night at the City Winery.
All right.
So we're back in the mix, and we're doing that, and things are starting to move. And I have some art projects. I'm a visual artist. Yeah. My pieces are at the MoMath Museum downtown. You can go down and check those out. Or look at Will Calhoun Art.com. That's real And I have some visual art that deals with drumming and lights and movement. And I perform kind of a solo drum piece along with that, with the visual art. So I'm mixing it up, man.
Let's take a look at you in action.
Okay.
Let's go to the videotape. I saw you. Welcome back with the great Will Calhoun. You know, he's been everywhere, and we'll let you know more about him. And I thank you guys. I thank you for coming in and sitting down with me and experiencing your wonderful experience. Now, last month we lost a great.
Yes.
Pharoah Sanders. She's a great American jazz saxophonist, composer, and a band leader. Talk about your experience with her.
Pharoah, of course, was very good friends with John Coltrane as well. So there's that history there. But Pharoah was someone who, as a band leader and a jazz legend, allowed me to bring my own personality to his music. He was the first, him and Bobby Watson, but Pharoah really was the first jazz musician who allowed me to be kind of Will Calhoun in his band, because I like to bring in different things from the Caribbean, from West Africa, from the Bronx. Yeah. All these kind of mix it all in there, the flavors, and he had no problem with me doing that. So it was an honor to work with Pharoah. He gave me really great advice in my career, and we all miss him dearly, but you know, his classic song, The Creator Has a Master Plan, is something that we play in our shows to end the set every night to remind the audience of how important this man was to the world.
Yeah, yeah. So not only him, who were some of the other people that you that inspired you, who helped move you in this direction?
Wow. Well, I mentioned Steve Jordan, certainly Wayne Shorter. Yeah. My first professional gig at age 19 was with Harry Belafonte.
Whoa, yeah.
And Harry was somebody who pretty much, brought me into the business, but B, gave me the most incredible sound advice, which I still use today.
What did he tell you? And how did he say it? Because you know Harry.
He gave it to me with the side eye. Sign your own checks, first of all. Yeah. Make sure you're in control of your own money. Don't be concerned with being on top. Be in the mix. Yeah. On top, sometimes you become too much of a target. And he definitely stressed to do what I love. Like, make that a priority. If you love playing music or whatever style of music, do that, because you don't want it to turn out to be a little bit sideways. So him and B.B. King gave me sound advice. B.B. also told me, young man, be true to your art, because you never want to have to tell a lie and it becomes a hit. Then you have to lie for the rest of your life. So B.B. and Harry gave me the bookend elders advice. So
did they give you some financial advice also?
Harry definitely did, and gave me recommendations to people to speak to. Yeah. Living Color. At that time, we were just starting out, but as the band took off and we won Grammys, I reached back out to Harry. He was always open to, hey man, call this guy. Are you okay with this? Taxes, investments, and so on. He was very open to share information.
Make sure you had that clean, because those tax people come after you.
Oh yeah, they wait for all the smoke to go away, and then there they are knocking on the door.
You know that's right.
Taking your car.
Now, now, did you keep your money under your drums like Aretha Franklin? She kept hers under the piano, and when she was singing, she had that connection with the crowd and her money.
I kept it close.
I love her. She's a
I kept it
person.
close. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And Aretha had reasons to do that, and you know, I think there's something to say about her and Chuck Berry, who were interested in getting paid first and knowing that the cash was there, and then going on stage, because you know it's a business where you can easily be taken advantage of.
Yeah, I've hosted plenty of shows where there was a pause. Nobody wanted to come on stage until they were straightened out. Colonel Abrams, I mean, a lot of people, you know, that I've hosted for in the past.
You can't get it when the show's over.
No, you can't. And I remember somebody sitting out in the car, they owed her another $1,000. They paid her like, I think it was about $25,000, $26,000 at that time, and they owed her another $1,000. She did not go on until they gave her that money.
If you work at any other business, right, a computer company, car company, law firm, you do your work, you put your time in, you clock your hours, you get paid. You don't do 20 hours of lawyer work and get paid for 15.
Exactly.
It's no different than any other job.
So you have a lot of stuff under your belt. Where do we find you? Are you, where do we find you?
I'm at Instagram, Will Calhoun Drum.
Yeah.
I'm online at willcalhoun.com and livingcolor.com. Twitter is Will Calhoun Drum as well, too. So you can find me in the, you know, and you can Google me and get some legal information.
And we have the other studio right here. We have more time. We need a longer show because we want to put you on the drums over there and let you get busy.
Well, let's do that next time.
And I'll pick up a bass and maybe I'll just follow.
You left that part out, man. Let's do. Come on, man. Let's go. We could have done that today.
Jeff Fox
is
still trying to get me on that bass. He handed it to me during the New York City Marathon 2 years ago. He said, just keep the G note going. I said, wait, I play the air bass. I don't play a real bass. And here we go.
Here you go. Well, look, I have to give my props to you. I've been a great fan of yours all of these years, so it's nice to be on the show with you and get the interview. And congrats to the books and everything that you're doing and putting the information out.
Will Calhoun, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you all for joining us. Unfortunately, that's all the time for today's show. I want to thank our guests for joining us and you, our viewers, for tuning in and checking it all out. You keep following us. Go to BronxNet TV for continued coverage. Well, thank you for letting us share in this space and time with you. You know, we're going to move into another day, another way, another year, and we'll be right here. And make sure you join our hosts, Kerbin, Arlene, Darren Jaime, and Rena Valentine. They're on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday for new episodes of Open. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we wish you and your family a happy and prosperous new year. Always remember this, what you are is God's gift to you. What you make of yourself is your gift to God. So choose your choice. Let your choice control and choose it. I'm the Dr. Bob Lee. I'll see you over 107.5 WBLS. Love you all. Peace.